Elder Scrolls 6. And who knows, maybe Elder Scrolls 6 will be amazing, like maybe they'll just, you know, take all the janky experimental stuff and do it properly. There's always the potential. I honestly don't know if Skyrim is a fluke or if they like deliberately spent more effort on Skyrim, because a lot of Bethesda games it's just like janky messes, and they're kind of famous for being janky messes. Ah, I did it wrong again, crap. Skyrim, remarkably, is not the same janky mess. Like, the bugs in Skyrim are like several orders of magnitude less disastrous than most other Bethesda games. To the extent that they ported it to consoles. They ported it to a lot of different places. And it continued to work in a lot of different places, which is very unusual for a Bethesda game. What is usual for a Bethesda game is that the only reason the games work at all is because players can mod it themselves. So the players patch out the problems themselves. And then if all else fails, they use the console. They use console commands to like fix bugs as they play. For example, like if a quest just breaks and you're like stuck halfway through a quest, you like just advance the quest. You just type in the command in the console and it just kind of skips the broken bit. Skyrim, remarkably, you can play through Skyrim without doing that. Which is not something that can be said for most Bethesda games. Most Bethesda games you have to go into the console. So Skyrim really is not like other Bethesda games. And I'm actually not sure how they did that. Oh, this is just like one block. I should knock it out. Alright, let me stop there. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3. Right. Oh, that's not right. Fallout 4, like you couldn't do that with Fallout 4. Fallout 4 doesn't work without console commands. I've played through Fallout 4 a lot. Maybe like 5 or 6 times. 5 or 6 times completing all the quests. Like, I like the game. I do. But like every single time you'd have to like do something to stop it from breaking. And that's like, there's a survival difficulty which makes the game harder and also disables the console. And I wish I could play survival difficulty. But like, I think I've only managed to like do it once. Or maybe not even that. Because at some point, something's gonna break, and then you need the console to fix it. I'm not sure if I ever like completed survival difficulty fully. I mean, you can finish the main quest without too much problem, but a lot of other stuff. Again, like Fallout 4 is a little bit half-baked. Which is a shame because I do like it a lot. So there's one quest. There's one repeatable quest where you're supposed to escort a Brotherhood of Steel scribe to gather some technical thing from a computer somewhere. It's randomly generated. But you get experience even if you fail. Right? Even like if the scribe dies along the way and you go back, you still get experience. The guy just says, "Oh, the scribe died. Oh, that sucks. But you tried. Here's a reward for trying." So what happens is you can get the quest, kill the scribe. Oh crap! Get the quest, kill the scribe, and then get the experience. So you can, it's an exploit, right? And so on one of these playthroughs, I was doing that to exploit to get experience. It's not, I mean, is it really an exploit? The game lets you do it. I don't know if it's really an exploit. Anyway, I was doing that to get experience, but after like getting a lot of experience, I found out that like all the hundreds of repeatable quests that I did, it pushed the actual quests out of the menu. I don't know why that would happen. So after a while, the real quests that I had ongoing, they just disappeared from the menu. They were still active, but they wouldn't show, and so I couldn't see what I was supposed to be doing. So the main quest was gone from the menu, but I could still do it if I could remember where to go. So like it just added it. So there's like a list of quests. There's like an unfinished quest, and then there's finished quests. There's a huge list of finished quests. But when the list of finished quests gets too big, it pushes the. I guess you just keep like imagine a list. So you have a quest 1, quest 2, quest 3, quest 4, quest 5, and I guess it just like keeps adding to it, adding to the list. And when the list gets too big, the stuff at the top stops getting displayed. I guess there's like a limit to like how far the game searches the quest list to find unfinished quests. And so then like after a while you just couldn't see the unfinished quests because they've been pushed up to out the top. So instead of like looking through the game, instead of making sure to look through the whole list for quests, it only looks through a number of items. And presumably this was a system designed back when there were no repeatable quests that you could just repeat over and over again for eternity. So then like imagine if you like back in Morrowind. Actually, were there repeatable quests back in Fallout 3? Oblivion? No, Radiant quests were added in Skyrim, I think. You might be able to do the same thing in Skyrim to like ruin your game. I believe Radiant quests were added in Skyrim. I mean, they were in Daggerfall, but I think Daggerfall was actually a different game engine. So randomly generated quests that you can repeat forever was not in Morrowind, and I don't think they were in Oblivion either. And so then you would know how many quests there were in the whole game. If there was only ever going to be like 300 quests in the whole game, then you would never need your UI to look for more than 300 quests, right? You see what I mean? Although you allow mods, I guess mods would add more quests at some point, which would become a problem. But you know, if as a developer you know, or it would be like 256, I guess, 512, it would be one of those numbers. You would know that, okay, we're not gonna have more than 500 quests in a game, and therefore we don't need to look past 512 items. So I don't need that many numbers, right? And then later on you hack in Radiant quests, which then the number turns from 512 to infinity. But you don't go back to adjust your quest display in your UI to look for infinity quests. It only looks for 500 quests also. Well, then it breaks, right? It's because you took an old system and you hacked in new functionality onto the old system without really thoroughly going through all the possible use cases. And you miss one of the use cases, which is somebody like being really dedicated and doing thousands and thousands and thousands of quests, which apparently people didn't do very often, at least. Anyway, I ruined one of my playthroughs by doing that because I couldn't see my quest anymore after a while, and so I couldn't. I mean, I guess I could still finish the game, but it's like, okay, now I have to like manually keep track of my own quests. Because the game's UI is broken now. Because I broke it. That's basically Bethesda. That's basically Bethesda and the problem with using legacy code in your new game. Because your legacy code was designed for a different game that didn't have infinity quests. And now that you decided it's a good idea to put in infinity quests so there's more stuff for players to do, you find out that it doesn't actually work that way. Now, imagine that sort of thing, but in a persistent multiplayer game where there's only autosaves. Or rather, like everything's saved on the server. There's no local saves, there's no console, because they'll be cheating, right? The multiplayer they'll be cheating. No mods, no consoles, no local saves. So there's no way for you to fix any of these stupid ass bugs. That's Fallout 76. Fallout 76 is what happens when you have a Bethesda game but you're not allowed to fix the bugs yourself. Only Bethesda is allowed to fix the bugs. And it turns out that's a complete disaster, because Bethesda, they can't do it. They can't make a bug-free game to save their lives. Maybe they got overconfident after Skyrim. Skyrim was, I mean, it still had bugs, but it was nearly bug-free. It didn't have like really game-breaking bugs. You could play through it fairly consistently. Maybe they got overconfident. They thought, alright, we did it with Skyrim. I'm sure we can do it again with other games. And it turns out they couldn't. Alright, how are we doing this? That and that down to there. 2, 3, 4. What happens down here? Minecraft is kind of like that too. I mean, it's been improved over time. I mean, I started playing back in alpha, and there were like quite a lot of instances where you kind of had to fix things with the map editor if you want to keep playing. So that Minecraft also had similar issues with being a buggy mess. But it's single player, you know, like it's a single player game where you have the option to play with other people. And so it's kind of fine. It's not a persistent online-only multiplayer game. Oh boy, imagine if that was the case. Imagine if... Oh man. What a disaster that would be. I mean, I guess some Minecraft servers are basically that. But the mods have to do so much work. The admins have to do so much work in Minecraft servers. It's like, it's actually crazy how much work it takes to properly admin a public Minecraft server is so much work. Because the game is such a janky mess. There's so much stuff you have to fix all the time. I mean, either that or you just let the game run by itself and like nobody's happy. Everything breaks, nobody's happy. Private servers are okay if it's just a few friends. Public servers? Disaster. Either you really, really heavily moderate or it's a complete disaster. Oh, I'm using the wrong blocks. Is there a missing block down here? It is. What's going on there? They should have made Fallout 76 a single player game with a multiplayer option. When you make a game multiplayer, you really, like, you are committed. You have to be committed to maintaining the servers, maintaining the game. Like, the game has to be effectively bug-free. Or else you have enough people moderating and adminning to make it effectively bug-free. That's a huge commitment. Right? Bethesda games have always been, oh, if there's a bug, fix it yourself. That's how Bethesda games have always been. And with Fallout 76, they changed it. And it's not pretty, to be honest. It's okay. I mean, they have actually put in quite a lot of investment into it. It's okay. But it's like it's not a good enough game that I would want to play it. I want it to be a good enough game that I want to play it, but it's not. It's just too hard. It's hard to please everybody. The thing about the Bethesda games is that you can mod them. They're so open to being modded that that people please themselves. I mean, Bethesda doesn't really please anyone with their game design, but people please themselves by like making their own mods, installing their own mods. Right, so you don't have to please people, you just like let them please themselves. Like that's what Bethesda is good for. And once you take that away, like not very many people are actually happy with Fallout 76. And I imagine if you take away modding, a lot fewer people will be happy with the other Bethesda games too.